The scruffy-haired little boy kicks a stone while the other watches him do it.
He had bad words and said, I got in trouble. Bad words. Bad words. Boo, what? Was that a bad word? Don't say more bad words. We just heard funny voices. We thought the voices were funny. We said what they said, and then we got in trouble. Radio? What's that? We just heard them in our head.
Could it be? Do their minds work in the same way? Voices from another self? Voices from a deeper self? Voices from early schizophrenia?
You know, I heard people talking, except just in my head. It was like, it is time at last, my nasty speed freaks. Our brother man is about to grow up. DJ Flatio's Big Boy Daniel single is here. Buckle up, cause this is the fastest track that you're ever gonna hear. Turn up the volume. Blow those speakers out. Now here's... No. Don't say bad words, stupid.
A word when you're done.
The boy draws a jagged rock across the ground. It leaves a white scratch.
Detective, about what the twins had to say. I believe they heard something. And given the poverty of this part of town, I don't know how they could have heard the radio. I don't know how they heard it, but I know the station they imitated, so they must have heard it somehow. Speedfreaks FM. Yeah, local station, known for its kinetic music and aggressive style. Yeah, anyway. Weird as it is, the situation is not connected to the murder. This isn't our business.
The lieutenant says nothing. An ocean breeze blows in strong. He raises his jacket collar against it.
Besides, maybe it was just a radio they overheard. They might not be old enough to know the difference. How would they have heard the voices?
The lieutenant is grimly silent.
Let's at least rule out radios before continuing. Maybe the twins didn't know it was a radio they were hearing. The washerwoman seems to know everything that happens here. Let's ask if she heard anything before moving on. After you.
Our tenant, the policeman. I hope the waves don't keep you up at night. What can I help you with? A radio? Ah, no. We play no radio here. There's one in the shack, but it's never used. These ears know every sound that belongs to this coast. I would know if I heard anything different. Was that the nonsense we were spouting? Huh.
Olden days were golden days. Life's luster is lost on those who speed.
No, I have no idea where they heard it. They've been in earshot all week, and no radio.
Let's just get it out of the way as fast as we can. Contact dispatch from my kinema and ask them to connect you to the station. Maybe they can shed some light on this. I'm ready when you are. Thank you, ma'am.
Anything else?
The sea's gonna calm down soon, I can feel it.
Hello, mister. Bye.
There's a trap in the reeds at your feet. Looks like the same one you saw Morell set before. Same mesh, same wiring. The reeds bend forlornly toward the water. Some tufts have been crushed. The broken stalks sickly pale against the darkness. In the east, the city center hums to you. The constant, distant song, louder on this part of the coast, nearer somehow. And there's that cold again. Always the cold. Locusts are crawling around in the trap, confused but uneaten. You see no carnivorous reed phasmid gorging on them.
Big surprise. Anyway, 1 down, 3 to go. No, you weren't.
Hello, hello. Let me know if I...
All the old boomboxes are there, blinking and waiting to whirl. All but one, yours. A typical Martinez streetlight sits among assorted floor and table lamps. You see rows of toy soldiers guarding the rest of the trinkets displayed on the table. Some on horseback, others in rags, others yet.
Hello, hello. Let me know if I can help you with anything.
Inside, you see a set of steering levers, a radio microphone, a pull-out toolbox.
This is Precinct 57. How may I assist you? Come again, officer? Okay, officer. 1 moment. I have the GMS on the line. I'll connect you now.
Yo!
The starting gun fires, and we're off.
It is. I got a few minutes before I gotta go back on air. What can I do for you, cop man? An asshole is a mouth for shit. And I'm puking.
That's the name of the song. Vulgarity is La Belle de Jour.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's the shit-hot new single from DJ Fellatio, really setting up the sonic waves. They're loving it, man. The requests keep coming in for more. I really think it's the future of music, I do. Fucking, like, stinkcore or something. Shit's so nasty. Those stink waves come up like sound waves, you know what I mean?
This is preposterous. Neither sound nor scent work anything as he's describing. What does he even mean?
Doesn't matter. Listen, I'm dead serious when I say Fellatio is gonna make it big in this world. It's illegal not to play, man. When you got that kind of music in you, the universe demands that you got to let it out. You know what I mean? Plus, Fellatio and I got it in our contracts that we could play our own tracks. So really, it would be illegal not to. Come on, man. I just told you we're cleared to play shit like that. Listen, It's not our problem if kids decide to tune into River Shaw's hottest station. I don't understand. Are you asking if we can, play our station into people's brains? Right on, brother. We got to make sure everybody tunes into this sonic revolution. But we didn't force it into people's brains. Got no idea how you do that. Short of them just tuning in on their favorite radio receiving device. Revolution Brain Broadcast. Got it, yeah. We'll look into that. Was there anything else you wanted to ask? Nah, man. Thank you. This has been an absolute pleasure. Later, cop man.
The party has terminated the call. Is there anything else I can do for you, officer?
It requires no adjustment. The radio is already set to Speedfreaks FM.
Spoke to the wildest cop in Raver Show. Didn't even get his name. But whoever that mystery cop was, we salute him.
Right away, the lieutenant reaches into the cabin and turns off the radio. He's not looking at you as he says,
Someone must have been messing with the radio, or maybe picked up a random frequency. You wanted a prime line, right?
He's still avoiding your gaze, and his ears glow red. The lieutenant is resolutely silent, staring at the console, a look of betrayal. The secret has been revealed.
I don't listen to them. I don't like it. I don't know how that channel got marked. Excuse me?
The lieutenant raises an eyebrow. The ocean wind blows, bringing in the smell of salt. That eyebrow. He's using his authority against you. You can't resist. He remains silent.
Nothing to get into, really. But sure, let's focus on the important things.
This is Precinct 57. Can I connect you to someone? 57's over and out.
In the cabin, you see a...
Okay, about that call, let's start from the top. There's no doubt the twins heard Speedfreaks FM. I still don't know how without a radio, but they did. I don't know what it means. I don't think the voices in your head are related to this, no.
The lieutenant gives you a long look.
I don't know what to say to that, or what you want me to say. I'm sorry. Did we ask where the kids were when they heard the voice? No need to apologize. I was just going to say it'd be a good idea to ask them. And, Detective, thanks for this. It's been interesting.
Oh, it's you again. Are you looking for a dye? Very good. That would be 7 real for one custom die. Here's the cursed die you ordered.
The phrases read, God is indifferent, take all, lose all, 50-50, nothing happens, and pale.
It's a die. Try rolling it.
You throw the ball on the floor, and it ends with one of the phrases facing upwards. God is indifferent.
Good. Now roll again, detective.
It lands on exactly the same result. God is indifferent. It declares again.
It's a sphere pretending to be a 6-sided die. Each roll will end with one of the phrases facing up. The die originates in Ilmara, where it was used for cleromancy, except I've weighted the die. When you try rolling it, you realize that each time it gets you exactly the same result. God is indifferent. This is our curse.
It's even worse than she says. God is dead. We live in a forsaken age.
In the face of death? No, not really. It is, isn't it? There's something liberating about knowing it's just we humans, no all-powerful forces guiding us, watching us, judging us. Good luck, officer. Oh, it's you again. Are you looking for a die?
A gust of cold air sweeps through the chimney. The stones and minerals on the shelves rattle as though agitated. For a moment, it almost feels as though you're outside the building, exposed to the atmosphere.
Didn't we already talk about this? What are you talking about? My address is exactly the same. Rue de Saint-Guilain 10.
No, the old coal plant that used to be here was subsumed into the new venture. Its ruins swallowed up. Yet it has a different address in the heart of the city.
This doesn't make any sense. Are you saying my business was spared because of a technicality? Where is this coming from? And what? Does it mean that I'm safe from failure?
Don't let her become complacent. She still needs to ward her soul against the evil forces. She starts laughing, her fingers trying to rub away the exhaustion from her face.
Do you know what this is? It's a mourning ring. I made this when my first company failed. It was a small jewelry shop right here in the East Delta Commerce Center, built with the little I inherited from my parents. I drove it into the ground within a year. I didn't have what you would call a viable business plan. No, you're right, I didn't. It wasn't just the jewelry shop either. I always thought that it was just the world that you were supposed to try again and again until you finally succeed. And now you're telling me what? That it was all because I didn't run my little shops and ventures from a dump inside an abandoned chimney? Yeah, Or maybe it's the entire world that's cursed. It's such a precarious place. Nothing ever works out the way you want it. That's why people like role-playing games. You can be whoever you want to be, you can try again. Still, there is something inherently violent even about dice rolls. It's like every time you cast a die, something disappears. Some alternative ending or an entirely different world. But anyway, thanks for sharing your theories, officer. I'm sorry, I'm a bit overloaded.
The sight of bullet holes stirs something in you, making you forget the lieutenant's surname. The faded marks are too degraded to draw any forensic conclusions, just chips in the sandstone.
Where? There? Those are old. Yes, the one that happened half a century ago. Those bullets were fired during the revolution and do not warrant an investigation by officers of civil law. Not much. I don't have a fresh perspective on it. Shall we go?
The scruffy-haired little boy kicks a stone while the other watches him do it.
There. We were there.
Full circle. Back to Feld, then, when you're ready.
The boy turns the rock over in his hands. He looks to you, then his brother, then back to you. A familiar apparatus lies among the reeds, another one of Morell's traps, weighed down by stones to keep it in place. Behind you, the ruins of a residential building loom over the reeds. They whisper amongst themselves. Confidentially, snowflakes cling to their shivering stems. When this district was booming, the reeds were kept at bay. Nothing obscured the freshly painted facades. Nowhere for drunks and adventurous teenagers to hide. Now only the wind blows. This trap is also full of panicked locusts. No sign of any cryptozoological beast inside.
Another empty trap. Yep. The next one has a crab trapped in it. These are just crab traps, you do realize?
Scattering of bullet holes is spread across the cracked wall, reaching from one corner to the other.
Correct. The density of the bullet holes is unusual, even in a general average bullet hole frequency in Martinez's sense. Grim affairs. Meaning, this is a lot of bullet holes. Looks like fully automatic rifle fire. Something you don't see these days. The manufacturing and sale of automatic rifles was curtailed after the revolution. The destructive power of such tools proved to be too much. We do need to retain some humanity in this world.
scattering of bullet holes is spread across the cracked wall, reaching from one corner to the other. A row of ghostly shades stand facing the wall. There are many of them, a dozen at least, their heads lowered and eyes blindfolded. It's quiet. No sound, no movement. 10 meters away, other shades are lined up in an orderly manner, automatic rifles primed. A gust of wind blows by. The coats of the firing squad flap slowly in the breeze. A single person stands on the side. Snowflakes fall on the wooden planks and the surrounding sand dunes, covering the land with the white of innocence. A long time has passed since the moment of this fusillading. Rain and brine have since washed all the blood away. Not a trace remains. The abundance of bullet holes leads to two options. Either an inordinate amount of executions were performed here, or they did not use a conscience round, where only one soldier has the loaded rifle. Looks like this was a mass execution with everyone fully armed. A host of men, probably in everyday clothes, ragged from the conflict and covered in dust. They were not sitting, a common practice for executions in some nations. As demonstrated by the height level of the bullet holes, they stand, facing the wall. It's impossible to discern any details about their personality or background. Ordinary people, familiar, each and every one of them. Comrades, the forsaken, the wretched, who tried to rise against the horrors of the world. 7 men in combat uniforms and dark coats, holding automatic rifles aimed at the people. Soldiers from some side, but from which one? The commandant, the one who gives the order. Machine gun fire crackling through the air, the lights of the muzzle flashes dancing on his face.
I don't know. I don't know who died here, lined up beside that horrible wall. It could have been any of the parties involved in the revolution. Perhaps the ones executed here were the loyalist conservatives, killed by the communists at the start of the Civil War. Or it could have been the communists, put to death during the last stretch of the conflict by the coalition forces.
Remember what Trent Heidelstein said about Feld?
Another likely scenario. Yeah, it's very unlikely the coalition forces were the ones who died here. They were always the last ones against the wall. To be honest, if a coalition member was anyone in this situation, it was a commandant, the superior giving the orders.
A cold sea wind blows away the figures. A row of ghostly shades facing a crumbling wall, with another 7 shades standing a cold. This is the trap Morell just set. Checking it over, he said, is just a technicality. But the reeds by the abandoned campsite sway and tremble while the snow falls all around. The later it gets, the colder. Remnants of the camp can still be seen in the sand. The fire that's gone out. You feel strange, somehow. Nothing but locusts in this trap as well. Definitely no cryptozoological monstrosity.
Empty as all of them. One more of these and we're done. I'm just glad we haven't found some poor cat trapped in one of these.
The once bright mural towers above you, saying, Feld Electrical, R&D. The once bright mural towers above you, saying, Feld Electrical, R&D. Suddenly, there's a sigh, carried on the molecules around you, moving, flowing from high pressure to low pressure, like that of a woman emptying her lungs. She wraps the collapsing stone box in front of you in her breath, flowing through it. In through the collapsed roof, flowing down a concrete staircase to the basement, sweeping away footprints in the dust on the stairs, and then the beach below the boardwalk, its winding tunnels, a whisper away.
She's down there.
Okay, why? So, how do we get in there? The doors were on the collapsed side of this building. They're gone, basically. Perhaps you can climb them. We are not climbing anything. I'm 43 years old, and I plan to live to see 70. There's also still a question of how the twins tuned into Speedfreaks FM. I'm only observing that there's another lead you wanted to follow, and that if you drop the radio lead now, just be prepared to leave without having done it.
A rusty ladder leads to the rooftop. Some of the rungs are missing.
Yeah, that doesn't look good at all.
The distances between the remaining rungs are rather wide. You'd have to use the mounting brackets. However, they seem corroded and the peeling rust is razor sharp. In addition, the first rung is going to be tough to reach. It's what, 3 meters above the ground, and you're 180? Not to mention that the roof is collapsing and the wind gets pretty brutal up there. Dismounting from the ladder is going to be hard. Perhaps if you were to not climb the ladder. Instead, what if you were to reconceptualize climbing the ladder? Astral projection. Be open-minded about this.
Teleportation is not a thing.
Even if it isn't, no one told you.
That's not how physics work, detective. And even if it were, wouldn't you need some kind of apparatus? A teleportation field or... Oh yes, it could hurt. A lot.
He is restraining himself from using a parental tone with you right now. The rusty ladder leads to the rooftop. On second thought, because you're just standing there squeezing your buttocks and nothing is happening,
Teleportation apparatus? I don't remember mentioning anything about teleportation apparatus. Please, don't try to climb the building. We'll get in another way.
He did. He totally said something about the apparatus. God damn it. It takes you a moment, but finally you spot the last of Morell's traps. This one's partially obscured by the reeds. The reeds sway in the coastal breeze. They seem to be waiting for something. The wind picks up here, near the cape's end, surrounding the narrow strip of land from 3 cardinal directions. It's cold for this time of year. The trap feels light and silent as you pick it up. Something is different here. No locust, no phasmid either, but still. Your voice echoes on the coast, carried by a gust of cold wind.
Well, the bait worked on something. This doesn't mean it was a reed monster, though. Unless you see one in there. I just see an empty trap. Right. Anyway, that's for the cryptozoologists to figure out now. We're not cryptozoologists, we're cops.
A cold gust of air dries your sweaty face, and you look to the dark shadow of the Feld building in the distance, drawing you to it. What a strange sensation. Once this is done, should you ask the wind again? An old pipe peeks out from beneath the rotten boards of the boardwalk. Could this be an alternative path into the Feld building? Your eyes slowly begin to adjust to the darkness inside the drainage pipe. The lieutenant looks over your shoulder. At first, you can't make anything out in the darkness at all. As your eyes adjust, you see some trash. Crumpled up newspapers, cigarette butts. Someone has half-heartedly spray-painted skulls on the right side. And nothing. Broken glass from bottles thrown against the walls of the pipe. A syringe.
Given that this isn't a martial arts thriller, it's highly unlikely, and not without risk to our health either. However, the pipe suggests there may be an entrance to the basement around, and it's right here, a maintenance door.
Behind the pipe, the maintenance door, rusted shut and half sunken in sand. You and the lieutenant lean all your weight into pushing the doors apart, but you're not quite synchronizing your efforts. They slam shut again before you can enter.
Let's take a breather and try this again later. It's very tough.
The rusty ladder leads to...
It's great to see you again, officer. My wife can't wait to thank you. Go on, talk to her.
Oh, sweetie, I don't even know how to thank you for finding my husband and helping him out. I hope we haven't been too much trouble for you.
I knew it.
I'm not surprised. It's already getting out of hand.
Well, in that case, sweetie, let me give you a small token of my gratitude. It's a tie, Mexican origin. The pin is an antique, quite special to the cryptozoological community.
The little silvery knob holding the tie together feels warm in your hand. It's in the shape of an avian skull, with 8 eyes. You could ask her about this when you get the time. It's probably a cryptid, but the phasmid, of course, is more important.
Oh, you don't want to hear about some old woman's ramblings.
Ramblings? Nonsense. Your description of the phasmid is the most precise I've ever heard.
But, darling, I didn't even get the size of it right.
You were a child, my dear. Really. It's extraordinary what you were able to describe. Now go on. Tell our friend about it. He's proven his interest in the field.
Reflexively, the lieutenant read his familiar notebook.
Well, it was summer. I was building a racing track out of sand on the beach near a tall stand of reeds. Quite a tall one. Many times my height, I remember. When, all of a sudden... I'm getting ahead of myself. I was 5.5 in Betancourt in the suburbs. My grandmother had a summer home there.
She'd just started forming memories. Real memories. Not the billowy haze of infanthood. Betancourt got bombed in the war. It used to be quite near, circa 20 kilometers from here.
The strangest moment of my life. I looked up and one of the reeds moved. Not like a plant, but like a living thing. It stood up and looked at me. Its body unfolded like some antique toy. I've never seen anything like it. I didn't know this can happen, so I reached my arm and touched the thing. It felt just like a stalk of reed, but it moved, swaying, towering above me. After a while, 20 seconds, a minute maybe, it left, went into the reeds. I tried, but I was only a child. There was mud and high water. I couldn't see it anymore. I was just standing there knee-deep in mud, looking around me.
Where did you go? Don't.
I ran back home to my grandmother and asked her if reeds could walk, and told her they were looking at me. Of course, she just laughed at me, but I knew what I'd seen. For years, it was a story I told at parties when I wanted to impress boys. That sort of thing. Of course, most people just took it as a strange, amusing anecdote. So did I, honestly. But then I met Morell.
We were on a date. Can you imagine? She tells me a story, and it's the most detailed report of the Insulindian phasmid I've ever heard. The sounds. She told me it hissed.
So that's how they met. This is beyond significant for them.
It did, yes. Like reeds in a gust of wind.
The way it moved, the colour, how some of its limbs were white, like marble. It matched perfectly with what I know from other accounts. It was amazing. If it weren't for Lena, I might have given up hope years ago. It's no exaggeration to say that she restored my faith in my profession.
Our first, yes.
The glance is tender, yes, but tempered by something else. A thought she can't express, even to him. Interesting.
Not all of them. There is some white coloration reported, along with beige, where the camouflage ends.
It's hard to say how big things are when you're quite small yourself. To me, it seemed to be taller than I was then, but that's probably not the case.
How could she? Who imagines this? She didn't know about the phasmid. This is the main thing here, what makes it a confirmed sighting. She had no previous knowledge of the insect.
So she couldn't have made it up, or imagined it.
That's true, yes. I'm almost certain neither my mother nor my grandmother knew of it. It was only when I started telling my story as a teenager that boys would tell me, "Lena, you trying to tell us you saw the Insulindian phasmid out there in those reeds? Get out of here." They just give me a cider and ruffle my hair and tell me to stop dreaming. But I saw it.
I thought it was a wonderful story, ma'am.
But I don't believe it. A child left unattended on a warm day. Children make up stories and then end up believing them.
You're welcome, sweetie. I do appreciate the chance to relive it whenever I get one. It was just such an impossibly sunshiny day. So warm.
and she could get up and walk right into the reeds on her own, into the mud, anywhere.
Ha ha! Nothing like the gratitude of a good woman. Now then, what can I do for you?
He tries to play it cool, remain professorial, but inside, this man is itching for some news on those traps.
No. Well, he's been a little unenthusiastic about the trip, more so than usual. That's understandable. He just wants to get home and warm up.
He doesn't want to say it, but this is unusual. Gary's been to the jungle with him, to places way more challenging than the coast. Why so eager to go home?
Good. Okay. And? Completely empty?
No locusts? No phasmid either?
That's not ideal, but...
It just means the Insulindian phasmid is even more clever than we thought.
She's engaging in a well-known self-deception called motivated reasoning. You should correct them.
Oh, of course, more clever.
You're dealing with a subject near and dear to their hearts. It might behove you to tread lightly.
Yes, the Phantasmadeia picked off the locusts and escaped. This is good news, though we'll have to reconsider the design of the traps, make them more secure.
Another trip to the reeds.
Of course we have.
Wait, Morell. He may have a point. We have an obligation to rule out other hypotheses.
You're right, dear. It's a fair point. But what other explanation could there be? Pardon me. This is a big deal for us. You've helped us twice now, and brought some great news too. My gratitude, and the gratitude of the Société Cryptozoologique de Ravachol, is yours.
Heartfelt gratitude. But does it feel like closure? What really happened?
Thank you, it's an honor. We should probably return to our main investigation here. This has been refreshing, but...
Helping cryptozoologists isn't really a priority for our organization, is it? The lieutenant looks out the window, impatiently. Damn it, Lieutenant. Have you no intellectual curiosity? Jamais Vu, Derealization. Jamais Vu, the opposite of déjà vu. Not already seen, but never seen. Everything that should be familiar appears strange and new, like some half-forgotten day in your childhood. Only now. That's the feeling you've been having. And for who knows how long. You should go and ask Joyce Messier about this. What world are we in? This is a fundamental question.
Hello. Lena and I were just discussing the design of the new trap.
Consider the way the empty trap was disturbed, as though shaken. Most likely the hands of a young person. Hands small enough to fit inside the trap, too. You should ask the red-headed boy, Kuno.
A little hooligan. But what would a child want with bugs?
Oh, my dear Morell. You've been an old man for too long. Kids love to torment insects almost as much as they love to torment old folks.
Delinquents, my favorite.
Oh, you've been such a dear to us. Please, let us know whatever you turn up. I have a feeling we're getting so close.
Well, I see you've got all the help you need. I'll see you tonight at my place. Let's play suzerainty, but no more field trips for me.
This is a slippery one. He may respect the law, but mostly wants to pass under the radar. You won't get a chance to talk after you walk out of here. He hasn't been particularly forthcoming before. He may well still be hiding something. After he's left, it's too late.
Really, Gary? We're getting somewhere here. I'd love to play suzerainty, but...
Lena, I'm sorry, but you're not getting anywhere. It was some kids. I know the little mutants around here. Leave anything out in the open and they'll steal it, even if it's bugs. Morell, it's been fun, really, but I need a bath and I have deliveries to handle. When this tea is done, I gotta run.
No need to apologise, Gary. You've been more than helpful. We'll have to take a rain check on that game of suzerainty today, though. We're gonna follow this through.
Always a pleasure to see an officer of the law. I mean, officers.
That shirt looks very uncomfortable on him. Look at the buttons, barely keeping that thing together, as if something is ready to rip out from underneath. Yes, like a piece of ceramic armor, for example. One that makes a clicking sound when the plates meet each other, resembling pearls or marbles, stolen from the corpse in the yard near where he lives.
I knew you'd figure it out, officer. I'm sorry I didn't tell you at once. I was ashamed of what I did, and I didn't want you to know.
We're not detecting falsehood, sire. He's gearing up to admit the truth. This shame is surprisingly sincere.
Gary, what's going on?
I took the hangman's cuirass. I didn't mean to.
God damn it, Gary.
I know.
Shame on you. Give the cuirass to the officer at once. Gary didn't mean to interfere with your investigation officers. He's just thick-headed and poor as dirt. But he's always helped us, given us a place to stay. And he's followed Morell into God knows what jungles.
He's a loyal friend.
Everyone was picking those pieces off him, and I was watching them do it. And they'd scattered his clothes all over the yard. Everything was smelling, so I went there to take out the trash and started cleaning up. All those rags on the ground, him swinging up there, and I had a lapse of honor, sir. I thought, he's a foreigner. They all say he wasn't from here. Only the cuirass was left, so I stripped it off him. It was early in the morning. No one saw me. I took it with me. It was a mistake. Had I known it'd give you guys trouble, I wouldn't have... Fuck.
We're detecting sincere contrition here, sire. He's not trying to flatter anyone.
It's okay. It was a loose end, and you are tying it up now.
I'm so fucking sorry I called you Yellow Man. Seolite officers commanded the suzerain's navy. Most of them sided with the king when...
They were thoroughly conservative men, he realizes suddenly. It's difficult to say what the lieutenant thinks of this historic apology. His face does not belie emotions.
Because I was weak. I should have told you the moment I saw you, but...
He's a scaredy cat.
I always thought it was the Union, but I sure as hell won't go around saying that anymore. You have my word. I don't know, and I won't be running my mouth on this subject anymore.
This is all he knows. He sighs again, hangs his head, and unbuttons his shirt fully. A cuirass that matches the dead man's boots comes into view. Soon it is in your hands, smelling of his sweat.
Yes, absolutely. I will never do anything like this again. I won't mess